part 4. So I watched part 3 and I loved it. I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. I'd love to be in this. I want to be the guy, I'm like, but he's dead. I know they killed him at the end in the barn there. So how could he possibly be alive again? That's, it doesn't make any sense. And then I got the script. Oh, okay, I get it.
I read a lot of kids. I read a lot of people for that movie altogether. For a lot of people, and hundreds of people came in to read for that film. And Corey also.
I went in and I auditioned for Joseph Zito. And they loved the performance, but we got a call probably about a week or 2 later where they said, we love Corey, we think he's great. Joseph Zito, the director, is a little bit concerned because Corey's a small guy, and he just doesn't look like he'd be able to even lift the machete that's the size that he's got to pick up to whack the heck out of this guy at the end of the movie. It was great because we go out there doing the damn lake, and I don't think I actually ever got to get in the water, but I always wanted to, and so that was good enough. Just thinking about the water.
I thought it was very, very important who was going to be Jason. I auditioned a number of people for it, and that also was a strange process, auditioning people for that role. But we ultimately went with a guy who had tremendous experience in Hollywood movies, mostly as a stuntman and as a double for many, many years.
He was a big country Jerry Lee Lewis type dude, you know what I mean? It's like, hey man, how you doing? What's going on? And, that was kind of hard for me to relate with because I wasn't real the cowboy type. And I think, out of all the Fridays I've seen, I think he did the best job. I mean, he was just so menacing and brooding and had that stance, and the walk, and it's a fun character, I'm sure, to play. It's silent but deadly.
Who is it, Paulie? Paulie. Hey, Paulie, is that you?
The shower kill was like an important thing for me because I sort of wanted to go against the cliche of, the girl in the shower and there's the beast and it's not the beast. I took the guy with the prettiest guy with the most, chiseled face, with the most perfect face. And he's the one in the shower now. It's not the girl in the shower. And what does Jason do to this guy? Jason loves to use tools, right? He's some kind of talking handyman. He loves tools. Instead of tools, he just goes right through the glass, grabs the guy, and smashes him against the tile. Just smashes his face. It was sort of fun in a way. I mean, not that, smashing someone's head in the shower should be fun, but it was more fun than just doing another cliche thing. I sat around thinking, what is it that I haven't seen before? Or what would impress me if I was sitting in a movie theater? And I thought, if the woman who's at the heart of this movie jumps through a window and then runs off and still has to fight Jason after that and hit him, hit his mask with a hammer, and that's a good thing to do if we could figure out how to do it. We also had a lot of license because it was my impression. I mean, maybe we behaved, less than in a prudent way, but it was my impression that there was never going to be another Friday the 13th. I was told that this is the last one. They didn't want to make any more, and they were happy with the ones they made, but they didn't want to make any more, and this was it. Go kill Jason. We're never going to see him again.
The entire end sequence, after I shaved my head, I had a bald cap on. I didn't really shave my head, folks. That's one of the big misconceptions. Everybody, oh my God, you had to shave your head? Wasn't that hard going back to school? And no, I didn't shave my head. I wasn't that dedicated as an actor.
I wanted him to really shave his head, and they were worried because the television pilot season was coming up, and he wouldn't get any roles in television if he was bald.
Didn't shave the head. I had a bald cap on, and I was wearing it every day for probably like 2 weeks while we shot that entire end sequence. And because of it, I got very, very ill, because your body temperature rises when you cut off the circulation in your brain. or in your head area. So wearing a bald cap every day for 12 hours a day, I was getting sicker and sicker, and as I would get sick, my temperature was rising due to the bald cap.
Jason! Jason!
The most intense, I would say, part of the entire shoot was just prior to that. We're doing the scene where Rob gets thrown through the window. And the way they shot it was one entire shot. And I'd never seen this done before on films, because usually, when you're dealing with a stunt or something spectacular in nature, you want to kind of get one, make sure you got it, and then you move on to the next piece. Well, this was like a 2-3 page scene. And they said, we're just going to shoot straight through. So the part where she runs back in the house, Tommy, Tommy, Tommy. And I'm on the stairs. What's going on? What's going on? She says, lock the doors. And we're locking up the doors and bolting everything. All of that straight through to when I run upstairs and she runs back out of the house was all shot in one take. And then they went back in for coverage. What happens is they give us the timing several times. Okay, so he's flying through the window, beat, 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 you back up, beat, 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 he comes through the window, beat, 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 picks you up, then she hits him with the hand. Everything was timed and staged and set. So we start the scene. Joseph says action. He's running around doing her bit. The guy comes to the window. Beat, beat, beat. I back up. Beat, beat, beat. No Jason. Okay. Maybe the stunt didn't look right. Maybe they didn't throw him through the window properly. Maybe a piece of makeup flew off. I don't know. They're probably going to yell cut any minute. Boom! And all of a sudden, Jason comes smashing through the window. Probably 10, 20 beats later than he was supposed to. Scared the shit out of me. This huge man comes through this window with such force and impact, picks me straight up into the air. I'm only, 2.5 feet at the time. So he, picks me straight up 7 feet in the air or whatever. I was just losing it. So all of that expression that you see on my face, I was not acting, folks. That was very genuine. It was horrific. It was just a fun thing to be a part of that. And the fact that I got to kill the guy at the end, I felt like a mini hero of some sort. I was the mini me of my day, or the mini he of my day.
When Jason is finally killed, Tommy's saying, die, die, and we go to white. And I was in this theater in New York. It was a 1,000-seat theater, filled, every seat filled. And when I was standing in the back, when the thing went to white, you could see 1,000, the fans were all they were on their feet, standing there, with their hands in the air, cheering. It was like a rock concert. It was the strain, in silhouette against the white screen. Standing in the back of that theater, looking at this incredible silhouette of all of these people in the aisles, dancing in the aisles and with their hands in the air, cheering Jason's death. You thought, the power of this thing. Absolutely unanticipated. Anyone who tells you that, they calculated in order to get that, it's just totally unanticipated. But the force of it was extraordinary. with the kid, with Corey, was that maybe they could spin him off. So, I mean, this is my idea. I didn't have this conversation with the studio. I just thought if I leave it open that way and give him that look at the end, that maybe that will be a good thing and create a part 5, 6, 7.
Well, it was an interesting story. What happened with that was they had originally asked me to come back and reprise the role and do the entire sequel. But unfortunately, I was working on Goonies at the time, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it. Working on Goonies with Donner and Spielberg at the time, and we were shooting like 6-day weeks for like 6 months. Like, well, we want to shoot you on this, and we'd love to get, do it, but, if we can't start for another 6 months, we're going to have to find another solution. We got to get this movie out. So I said, well, I'll do whatever I can, but obviously I'm a little tied up. So they said, okay. So what they did is they had me come in and work on a Sunday.
Let's rip this sucker open. We gotta get a look at the main man.
So I'm working 6-day weeks on Goonies, and on my 7th day, I had to shoot Friday Part 5, then go back to Goonies. So I think it was the only time in my career as an actor, just working for SAG, where I actually shot 13 days in a row without a break. And the worst part of it is when I shot the scene for Friday Part 5, they had turned on some, it was supposed to be raining, but of course it wasn't raining. It was in the middle of summer and we were out in the valley. And they had no rain machine because it was a small budget. And of course it was a skeleton crew working on the 7th day, right? So what they did is they hooked up a hose to a sprinkler valve in the backyard of whoever's house we were shooting in, which actually happened to be a neighbor of mine. And they set up the sprinkler contraption to the hose and then connected it to one of those big faucets that they use for the rain machines. And just, let it pour. So not only am I working on my 7th day before going back into a full another work week, but I'm standing there freezing cold, and there is no Jason there being put into a cemetery plot. It's me standing in my neighbor's backyard, freezing my ass off, going, and they're like, okay, now you're seeing him come out of the grave. Now he's coming after you. Now he's chasing you, and I'm just, oh, okay, yeah, okay, great. Can I get dry now? Thanks, So it wasn't the most pleasurable memory of my career, but it was brief, short and sweet. A lot of people have said to me, well, how did you feel about that guy being you grown up in Part 5? Do you think, and then they had somebody else play me grown up in Part 6. My character kind of went on for years. The way I always say it to the fans and to people is, if I had my druthers, Jason and I have some history, obviously, my character, and kind of pick up the plot line right after 5, and have me come back as the character, as Tommy Jarvis, and do it grown up, and, have that kind of final confrontation. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I've always been a